think we're filming.
We are filming. Is that a bit we do every time now, where you obviously click record and then you say, I think we're filming?
Yeah, and then next time we'll comment on the fact that it will be a bit about the fact that it's a bit. We'll just keep building on it.
Because the first time I didn't realize you were doing a bit, I was like, he hit record. Do you not, like, do you not realize?
This is what people love. Bits on bits on bits.
Yeah, okay.
It is 2:27 in the morning. It's another day. We have completed... we're halfway through the Bryan Singer films.
Mm-hmm. Four?
Of the X-Men. There's 4 Bryan Singer films.
Oh,
and then next week we're working on a less but equally canceled director.
Oh, yeah, Brett Ratner. Yeah. You say next week?
No, I just said next.
Oh, okay.
Next film.
My brain on it.
We just completed X2, X-Men United, from the year of our Lord 2003. First one of these movies to feature the Marvel logo with the flippy thing.
Yeah.
Because that didn't exist for the first one. That was introduced in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man. And with that sentence coming out of my mouth, I'm never allowed to sleep with anyone ever again of either gender. I'm just going to be locked in a room with a chastity belt.
People like Spider-Man. You'd be left in a room with Jason.
Oh, God. Anyway, so last night we acknowledged your feelings towards this motion picture.
X2.
How have they evolved after this viewing?
I like it a little bit less this time around. I think I just obviously had like a kind of nostalgia to it with like my childhood, because this is one of the first movies I remember watching, period.
Yeah.
So to me it was like the gospel. Like when I here's the thing, when I was young, I just like let this like movie like wash over me.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was saying, but I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And looking back at it now, like the way the VFX are,
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like me as like a 5-year-old, like my mind being blown.
Yeah.
Cause like I didn't get like that computers did that stuff. I was like, this man has metal in his hands, and this girl can like turn blue and turn into different people.
Yeah.
And this man can turn into smoke.
Yeah.
And he was like, wait, that's the same guy that's in the cartoon I like.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that kind of thing where it was like, obviously now I know what motion pictures are. I know how special effects work. And I know about green screens and like VFX makeup. I think part of that wonder was gone.
Yeah.
But I still like the movie. I think this is much more engaging than the first one. For me, immediately grabbed. I think the pace is obviously a lot slower and it lets you like kind of like dwell in more.
Yeah.
I still have kind of the same complaint I had from the first one, where I kind of feel like no one gets their due almost. More people do.
A lot of the character development is a bit rushed. I still think it's solid. I think this film has more little moments for character development just because of what's going on.
We get the scene everybody talks about, which is the at Bobby's house. Yeah. The whole where it's obviously a metaphor for coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's down the line where he says, "Have you tried not being a mutant?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that scene's very cool. I like everyone loves the action scene inside the mansion with the government guys coming in.
Yeah, I completely forgot about it. I haven't watched this since 2014 because me and my dad did a rewatch leading up to Days of Future Past.
No, that scene has always stuck with me since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I forgot large chunks of this movie.
No.
I forgot that Jean died at the end. I thought for some reason that she died at the beginning of Last Stand, but no she's already dead at the beginning of Last Stand.
I remember my sister, when this came out, she's 6 years older than me, so she was 11. Yeah. And this nerdy kid at her school told her, at the end, you see the shadow of a bird because it's Phoenix. And she like came back to me and she told me like Jean's gonna come back to life and she's gonna be like a phoenix. Like, Jean's gonna be a bird. I was like, she's gonna be a bird.
We will get into the Dark Phoenix saga.
We will.
I'll save that towards the end because I have thoughts on the Dark Phoenix saga.
No, I still like it. It's a 4 for me. It went from like a 5, like the highest of like privileges of 5 to like a 4. It's still a very solid movie. I think Singer's direction may have gotten better. I think obviously he knew what he was doing more. Yeah. And he had more time and more money.
That, and then now I think because when he made the first X-Men, he only made 3 films previous and they were all of a much smaller scale. Yeah. So now I think by this point he's used to directing on such a large scale. Yeah. So I think he's more comfortable and he allowed himself to flesh out. There's a lot of Spielberg-y flourishes.
There is, yeah.
Which totally makes sense because Bryan Singer, amongst probably any director of his generation, is the most Spielberg-y. Like to the point where his production company is literally a reference to Jaws, Bad Hat Harry. Mm-hmm. Especially that scene where we introduced Wolverine at Alkali Lake. I feel like he's like directly aping Spielberg, not in a bad way. I mean, it's totally fine to wear your influences on your sleeves, and I think it works for this movie actually. Yeah, I think I said this to you. This might be a better movie than the first X-Men. I feel like I still prefer the first X-Men. There's just something about that first X-Men that gets me really excited. There's all sorts of these little moments that I love throughout that movie. And I don't have that same level during this movie. And maybe it's just because I've seen that first one 10 times more than this one.
There's little things this one do get me giddy.
Yeah.
Like, it's tiny dumb stuff. Like the, where Magneto's, I forget who says, like, I think it's Wolverine says she's good, and Magneto's like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Yeah. Or it's like when there's the government guys inside of the mansion and the little boy's watching TV, there's like a documentary. And it's like a nature documentary, like how like this predator's going after the young prey, and that's just narrating over the 10 little kids looking at this like government soldiers slowly inching towards them, which it's dumb, but I do really like it. Yeah. Or it's this part like the mom is not able to save the child, right? It's like looming over the kid. I was like, that's like really like on the nose, but like I really dig it.
No, I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff about this movie in particular that it feels extremely prevalent for today. Not in the way that the parable of X-Men is always supposed to feel relevant, but like there are things about this that reminded me of the coronavirus. There are things about this that reminded me of ice camps. Yeah. Because now more than ever, there's this sense of like us versus them. Yeah. Separation throughout our entire country in like multiple different factions, not just something as simple as heterosexuals versus the entire spectrum, or white versus every other race, or
or mutants versus everybody else. Yeah. No, I get you. The focus on religion on this one is interesting. Obviously, I did remember that. Yeah, that comes. But it's interesting, like how Nightcrawler kind of brings that into it, and the whole discussion of like faith.
Yeah, especially because with Magneto's whole thing, where you're a god amongst maggots and things like that.
Exactly. Or a guy who is Jewish. Yeah. Who was prosecuted for being Jewish. It's really interesting, that level of like religion into it.
Have you ever read The Once and Future King? Mm-mm. I know very little about it, but they bring it up a whole bunch in this movie. Yeah. And if we were smarter and more qualified,
I'm sure it has plot significance. I just don't know.
I'm sure it does. That book has only ever been a title. To me. So if you guys want to do some Wikipediaing, you can do that.
Or if you've more read than me and Steve, then you probably know The Once Future King like has a huge significance for the plot of X2.
Most of the literature that I've consumed is comic books, hence why I'm talking about X-Men movies.
At 3 in the morning.
At 3 in the morning. Should we just delve into little character things? Is there any character that you want to talk about specifically? I'm assuming you're going to want to talk about Nightcrawler.
I love Nightcrawler.
I think he's really cool in this movie.
No, you think he's very cool?
Yeah.
I like the folks making Nightcrawler like super like Christian or Catholic. I guess he's Catholic.
He's Catholic specifically, yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah. There's this isn't about Nightcrawler specifically, but there's they show a poster of his from the circus in the church. Yeah. And I was like, I want to get like a limited edition like version of that poster. It's so cool. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
It's Nightcrawler. There's like fire coming out of his eyes and mouth, and I'm like, that's rad as hell. Oh, God. I desperately want that poster like in my room. The magnificent Nightcrawler. I love Kurt Wagner a lot. I've always loved Kurt Wagner. Yeah. I like the detailing of like his scarring himself for his sins.
That's only in this movie, right? I don't remember.
They never mention it in Days of Future Past, but Cody Smithby has the scars.
No, I mean in terms of like the movies in general. That is something I do not remember from the comics.
I don't think so. I don't think that's ever in the comics. I just think that's just a thing they added.
In the comics, he's kind of furry too. Yes. He's not skin. Yeah. So it'd be like harder for him to do that.
Yeah. I think that's something made for the movie. I just like that idea, though. Obviously, this guy who looks like a devil being a Christian. I think also in the comics, he's also Catholic.
He's extremely Catholic. That's his thing. Yeah. He's German and he's Catholic, but he looks like a demon.
Yes, which I think is a really cool dichotomy to have.
It's a very Chris Claremont thing. Chris Claremont, who created Nightcrawler. He loves bringing all sorts of dichotomies and real world.
I've always had a soft for Nightcrawler, going back to X-Men Evolution. Yeah. Where obviously the whole first episode is kind of about introducing you to Nightcrawler and having him be a surrogate character, and that kind of changes to Rogue for a little bit.
They tend to be surrogate characters in a lot of different versions of X-Men. Yeah. And I think they're very good surrogate characters. Yeah.
That's the reason I have an idea for an X-Men script where Nightcrawler is the surrogate character.
Yeah.
I just always had a huge thing for him. And going back to this movie, the first like major scene you get is him like, trying to kill the president, which is wild as heck.
Yeah.
I feel like scared saying that phrase on a video.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then we learn that he's being influenced by Stryker. Yeah. Which that whole like. The whole like acid like drops in the back of the neck.
It's very effective.
It's so nasty.
It's very effective.
I like it scars like that too, especially because Nightcrawler, the way his skin is like it's the blue, like the way like the scar into that just looks horrendous. Yeah. That's one of those things where it's like I found myself fighting at myself a little bit because the whole like how does that work thing. They do explain it later on in the movie.
What do you mean? How does what work?
I always have the thing where I'm like, I don't that bothers me because I don't understand how that works. Like the translators in Avengers.
Yeah, but what
we understand how that works.
No, what about the Nightcrawler thing? That how does what work?
I'm like I went transition to the scar, the acid in the back of the neck thing.
What confused you specifically? I'm confused.
Well, how does it work? Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I get it's put on the neck and that makes them susceptible. Yeah. But then what is that, the put on the neck that makes them susceptible? But then obviously we find out later it's the guy's spinal fluid. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
here's the thing. I was totally accepting. I was like, oh, it's a thing that does it. Yeah. I'm willing to give the movie a mulligan. It's literally about people with like fire powers.
It's weird the guy who teleports. I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah. But the second is like, how does that work? Yeah. Yeah. The same debate we had about Cyclops' visor a week ago. Yeah. I was like, how does that work?
Connor and I had, it was like a 40-minute debate of how Cyclops' visor works. Yeah. And in the first X-Men, they show it's a clicky thing. It's a little clicky wheel that adjusts the aperture of his laser blast. No, Kurt's usually a very good central character because he's such an innocent. Yeah. And he's so lovable. But
he's a sweet boy.
He's just a very nice Christian boy.
He's kind of a shithead a little bit too.
Oh, well, he's a trickster. Yeah. He's a little scamp.
Yeah. He's like, do you want to get a closer look?
Here's the thing. Like, if you had those powers, you would be too.
I'd totally be a scam.
Yeah. But also, he has that dichotomy of being a heavily Christian person, but that literally looks like a blue devil. Yeah. Which is a nice dichotomy. But on top of that, like he's a really good representation of the mutant metaphor because he's one of the ones who physically looks different and is very apparent. You and I were having a bit about we were talking about Cyclops. And you were saying Cyclops has it rough because, like, his parents died, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, Kurt's blue. Yeah. They all have it rough.
So we're going to talk about the fact Mystique is technically his mom. But obviously that's not the case in this universe.
Probably not. She's also not. Well, she's Rogue's mom, too.
She is also Rogue's mom. Yeah. But they don't do any of that.
But here's the thing. Well, I feel like Nightcrawler, they pretty much retconned it. I don't think... In the flashbacks, they fully retcon that she's Rogue's mom.
No,
there's technically open possibility for that. I've never understood fully how that. Who's Rogue's dad? I always forget this.
Rogue is her adopted daughter.
Oh, that's right.
Kurt's her biological son.
Yeah, that's.
It's her and Azrael's son.
Yeah, it's Azrael. Yeah. I always forget that it's an adopted thing. Yeah. Because that's the thing. There is so much X-Men content.
There is. I only know the adopted stuff because of evolution.
Yeah. No, because like. Because in terms of comics, I've read a lot more DC than I have Marvel. Yeah. But the stuff in Marvel that I have read is Spider-Man and X-Men. Yeah. So I've read like a couple hundred issues of varying different X-Men series, and I haven't even scraped the surface. Yeah. There is so much in that universe that is so deep, and the character roster is insane.
Yeah, but speaking of Nightcrawler and Mystique, this is a conversation they have where it's like you can turn to people why you never look like a normal person. Yeah, it's like because we shouldn't have to. Yeah, it's a cool little bit. Yeah, that speaks more to Mystique's character that we learn more in the future movies, I guess, the past movies. Yeah, with Jennifer Lawrence's character and her struggle with
she's much further developed in the prequel trilogy. Yeah, have they ever given those a name?
I don't think so.
I feel on like
the Days of Future Past.
The box sets, they call it like the Beginnings trilogy, and I think that's a terrible name for them.
I just call it the Days of Future Past.
Yeah, especially because it's technically a separate timeline. Yeah. And like Dark Phoenix solidifies that.
Yeah. Yeah, things happen like 30 years before
they're supposed to. So we talked about Kurt. Is there anyone? Stryker? You want to talk about Stryker a little bit?
Stryker's cool.
Stryker's coal. I mean, Brian Cox. Brian Cox is a great actor. I'm always happy to see Brian Cox.
Yeah, Brian Cox is great. I didn't realize this was like watching these like years ago, but it's kind of like Professor X is always like taken out in the third act.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And like he's spoilers for X3. We'll talk about later, but he's taken out like earlier in that movie.
Yeah, he's killed. Like
I didn't realize like how much these people were characters were not utilized in these movies.
Professor X makes sense because he's just too damn powerful.
Yeah.
You need a reason to hold him up.
Because they put Diesel and Cerebro in last movie.
Yeah.
And then,
we had a whole thing about what the green juice in Cerebro is versus the blue juice.
Yeah.
And Connor made a very funny joke. It's like your car runs on gas and she put in diesel.
Yeah.
And this one, Jason is like in his head.
Yeah. And then in terms of later movies, in Apocalypse he's held up because he's being sucked things, and that's how he loses his hair, which is the dumbest shit in the world. Why can't he just have male pattern baldness? It's very common.
Well, they even make the joke in First Class. Like, I think I'm going bald.
Yeah.
Whatever. We'll get to that with the...
Those movies have no idea how aging works.
No, they don't. Rogue is cool. I think we get a lot more Iceman.
We get a lot more Iceman.
Rogue and Iceman are very cool. I like Pyro.
We never get full Iceman in these movies, do we?
No, we don't.
It's disappointing. I always like full Ice Boy. I think it's a
that's true. We never see him like fully like ice.
I think it's really cool. It's probably a CG thing.
Probably.
It's just probably been very expensive.
We might get a little bit of it in X3.
I don't remember. It's another. I've seen that movie 10,000 times, but I've not watched it since 2014.
X3 is the one I remember the least. Yeah, interesting.
Oh, I remember. Oh, there are sequences I'm going to be excited for in X3.
Yeah, well, there's some I like. I like the prison transport sequence. The wood stuff's pretty cool.
The wood stuff is cool. I like the final battle a lot more than most people.
It's fine.
We'll get into that. Next time.
I like how these videos are always talking about like the future X-Men instead of the one we're actually supposed to be talking about.
Because here's the thing, as like disjointed as this franchise is, because it's very disjointed, there are a lot of like really cool connections between them. And these movies do weirdly complement each other very well. There are things about, like, despite the future movies that take place in the past, let's just call them the prequels.
Okay, that makes sense.
They completely retcon multiple things that happen throughout these movies. Yeah. There are other little relational things that are highlighted really well. Yeah. Like when you mentioned earlier, Magneto says you have no idea, referring to Mystique. That's because in the prequel movies they fucked.
Yeah.
And things like that.
I haven't said you, so she's kissed Xavier, Magneto, and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad boys.
Yeah. There's a lot of really great Mystique stuff in this.
There is.
In this movie. I forgot how much she's in this movie.
She's in it a lot.
Yeah.
I think Mystique's probably up there for my favorites in this movie.
Yeah.
I obviously love Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him as much.
In this one?
Yeah, and like in these previous two.
The first X-Men is very Wolverine heavy.
Yeah.
This one is not as, despite it being about the Project X stuff, it's not as heavy on him. This one's much more of an ensemble piece. Especially because there's the 4 separate storylines going on. Because you have Wolverine, Bobby, Rogue, and Pyro.
Yeah.
You have Jean, Storm, and Kurt.
Mm-hmm.
You have Stryker.
Yeah.
And then you and then
Xavier
you have,
kind of intermixing with Stryker a little bit with Jason.
Xavier and Stryker, and then you have it's 5 because then you have Magneto and Mystique for a while, and then they converge with the other 3.
No.
That's the thing. It's one of the reasons I've always preferred the first X-Men more. It's just cleaner.
Yeah, it's
like this.
Cleaner.
This I always. It's not that I'm confused, but I'm always just like trying to take it back. It's like, all right, where is everyone?
Yeah.
Especially Scott. Where is Scott in this movie at any given moment?
He's getting re-educated for like an hour and 50 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
No, well, speaking of characters, we'll talk about Cyclops very briefly.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you can talk about Cyclops, apparently.
Very briefly. I forget how little he's in any of these movies.
Yeah, no.
Because he's oft in the first, 20 minutes of Last Stand?
Yeah,
it's early. This, he's barely in it, and he's not in the first one that much.
No.
And here's the thing. Like, throughout my entire life, Cyclops in the comics sucks. He's a wet blanket of a character. He's a whiny little bastard. I've never liked Cyclops. I think James Marsden is good in these movies. I think James Marsden's a very good actor.
You've only got a chance to see that once, and it's after Gwen dies.
Jean?
Jean. I was like Gwen. Oh my gosh.
Are we jumping to Amazing Spider-Man 2?
No, sorry, my bad.
The true masterpiece
Jean
of
Grey.
comic
It's
book
like
cinema?
I said, it's 2:40 something in the morning. I'm sorry, I said the wrong G name.
Yeah. Jeans with a J.
Oh my gosh.
It's a G sound.
It's late. I'm sorry. We only get to see him really like act.
Yeah.
Once she dies.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's him just like looking like an asshole, like over here with the shades.
Or just being like, babe, you good?
You good, babe?
Yeah.
Or it's trying to steal a girl from the first. It's like, if I do that, she wouldn't be my girl, would she? It's like, stay with my girl, Logan.
Yeah. Something that I forgot about these first two X-Men movies is how thirsty Wolverine is for Jean immediately.
Yeah.
He is only ever flirting with her.
He really likes Famke Janssen.
I don't think he ever says a line to her that is not flirting.
Here's the thing. There's no chemistry there for me.
Between him and Famke Janssen?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think Hugh Jackman believes it.
Yeah.
Like he's really going for it.
Yeah.
Famke Janssen, I think, is a very good actress.
Yeah.
I do. Jean Grey is a cardboard cutout of a character.
Yeah.
Who only exists to be powerful and then dies.
Yeah.
Jean Grey does not have a personality trait. Not one. Besides smart. She's smart and powerful.
Yeah.
She is the most powerful of any X-Men ever, and yet she has no personality. These are larger issues I have with the Dark Phoenix saga inherently.
Yeah.
That I will repeat these points throughout this entire franchise.
Yeah. No, it's not like they don't give like bad performances.
It's just not given much to do.
We never like get time to develop.
Yeah.
And once it's happening, since we didn't have time for it to develop, I just don't feel any of it. It's like you're just flirting with each other. I know, like, because you have to, because words on a page tell you to.
Yeah, and there's just different things, like, because these movies have to cover so much ground. Like, character development that took place over weeks and months and years within the serial story of a comic book that is just, is a privilege that they do not have here.
Yeah.
Like, Wolverine comes back and everyone's like, oh my god, you're back. And I'm trying to think, in the first movie, I think he was in the Xavier Mansion for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then immediately became a member of the team and then fought and then left again, and now he's back.
Yeah, the time frame is much more compressed than I thought it'd be, going from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Because Cyclops briefly mentions it, but it's been like a month?
Like a couple months.
No, he says a month ago you weren't able to do this, but since New York, you can now do that.
Yeah.
I think it's literally been like a month or a little over a month.
Enough time for
Wolverine to get there and come back.
Yeah. I also forgot how much of a direct sequel it is.
Yeah.
Like how much like stuff that is set up in the first one is immediately put in here.
Yeah.
Here's Connor, honest to God, I forgot that Magneto gets out of jail in this movie. I thought he stayed in jail for all of 2 and then came back in 3.
No,
I forgot that he has actually a very meaty part in this movie.
He does.
Yeah, he's quite good in it.
I
forgot how good Ian McKellen is in this part. Because here's the thing, Ian McKellen, actor of stage and screen. Love him. My mind has mostly erased his performance as Magneto. I like him in the first one, and I think he's okay in Last Stand.
Yeah.
And to me, like, Michael Fassbender has become that part. No, I feel like it's a much stiffer competition for whose Magneto I actually prefer now.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's still slightly Fassbender. I think
it's still slightly Fassbender, but...
No, I mean, speaking of, like, how he gets out of jail...
Yeah.
This movie's darker than I remember it being.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since I saw it when I was, like, 5 years old.
Yeah.
It, like, it never freaked me out, surprisingly.
I remember it freaking me out as a kid.
No. Oddly enough, like, this never freaked me out, but, like, Heath Ledger's Joker, like, years later, like, traumatized me.
Well...
It's really interesting.
This is not the same level of Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
No one gets a pencil in the eye.
Well, yeah, that's not, you never even see that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but here's like the blood thing. Like, there's too much iron in your blood, which is so great.
Yeah. The effect is bad, but it's a very cool moment.
It's cool. Speaking of things that made me giddy, is when we see Rebecca Romijn, like, actually, like herself.
Yeah, I forgot that we actually see her.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And, like, her dress is a similar, like, pattern to Mystique's skin.
Yeah.
So now where it's that transition where the dress just, like, opens up around her, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The little tranquilizers, the whole sequence with the girls, like, screaming.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good.
I forgot about the stuff in Kids in Cages and stuff.
Yeah. What was another thing I was mentioning was so dark? I'm blanking. Shucks. Oh.
Some of the Kurt stuff.
The Kurt stuff. The first shot you see of Kurt with like the makeup over his like scars and the sunglasses.
I forgot about the makeup.
It's so scary.
I forgot about the makeup. Yeah.
It looks really cool though.
That somehow like washes away by the end of the scene. That doesn't.
Well, here's like he teleports a couple times and it's gone. Maybe like it stayed in the air.
Yeah.
It's like his foundation just like flowing. He just like pooped off.
The janitorial staff comes later and is like, "What the hell's on the carpet?"
No, it's on a wall.
Yeah.
This perfect like face print.
It's like Apocalypse when that guy gets fused into the wall.
Oh, exactly.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Talk about that. No, I don't think I got much to say about X2. Very good movie. Like it a lot.
Yeah.
Not as much as I remember it being, but I was literally 5 years old. So, not many things.
You not watched it since you were 5?
I think it's been at least like a decade and some change. I've at least since I was like 8.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
Wow.
Because I got on DVD in like maybe like 07?
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's like 13 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's been a long time since I've seen X2.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Yeah, we'll delve deeper into the Dark Phoenix saga stuff.
Once we get to Last Stand and then Dark Phoenix.
Hot take. Granted, it's been a few years since I've seen Dark Phoenix. I think Last Stand is the best version of the Dark Phoenix storyline.
I mean, I'm excited to rewatch both of them soon.
We will delve into that later, though.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to cover?
No, we need to stop doing these at like 3 a.m. so you can both be more articulate.
I like it. It adds to the charm. We got a nice, good slumber party feel going here.
Yeah, that's true.
I like that they're rambly as fuck.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow sometime for sure.
We will continue on our X-pedition with Brett Ratner's X-Men: The Last Stand.
Mm-hmm.
Onward and upward. We are the future, Charles.
We are the future, Charles. Is that our sign off?
Oh, it is now.
Okay.